What's up, guys? Cat Daddy Crypto here. You know what I need you to do. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Stay up to date with news around Caspa and Caspa's ecosystem as a whole, as well as the rest of the crypto market. Subscribe and like this video. Let's get it. What's up, guys? I want to explain today why Caspa is going to win. And it's actually pretty simple. Caspa, for those of you who don't know, is a proof-of-work blockchain, 100% fair launched, no VC backing, no pre-mine, principles extremely similar to Bitcoin in a nutshell. It is the closest thing to Bitcoin that is not Bitcoin. Now, as we look forward, Bitcoin is awesome, but it has its flaws. And the biggest flaw that it has coming is the fee structure. Now, in order for Bitcoin to make it, it is going to roughly have to appreciate 20% per year. Every 4 years, that means it roughly needs to just about double in order for the miners to stay happy and stay on board. Because it's going to get extremely expensive to mine, and it's going to get extremely expensive to transact. On the surface, that seems like it's plausible, right? And maybe it is. I don't know how the future is going to play out. But think about a scenario in 4 years where Bitcoin is $500,000 per coin. It's going to get extremely hard and more difficult for Bitcoin to double every 4 years as the market cap grows and it gets more expensive to transact on the base chain. And at some point, there's going to need to be a solution for that because the Lightning Network is not transacting on-chain. You're moving your Bitcoin off-chain in order to transact. And that does not suffice the miners, which in turn does not suffice the security of the network. So in the future, we don't know exactly how far out, maybe 10 years-ish, we're going to start seeing these issues pop up if there's nothing in place to scale the chain and allow for scalability and cheaper transaction fees on the base layer. And so there's going to be a point where Bitcoin might fail on that alone, okay? It's going to be extremely difficult for it to roughly double every 4 years when it gets into massive market caps, like 5 trillion, 10 trillion. Doubling is going to be extremely difficult. And if it can't, then we're going to run into problems unless there is a solution that arises before that time comes. And right now, it doesn't seem like anybody's working on it or anybody cares because it's too far out in the distance, okay? But that distance is going to creep up on us before we know it. 10 years goes by very fast in the scheme of things, okay? Snap your fingers, we're 10 years later. Now, Caspa, on the other hand, kind of has the same issues, okay? But we're going to break that down to explain why it has a much better chance of succeeding in the long run, in my opinion. And Caspa has a halving, just like Bitcoin does, but it's more rapid. So we're going to get to the last block in a lot less amount of time. But the difference here is that Caspa is extremely scalable and the fees are very cheap. So all Caspa needs is adoption. That's it. That's all it needs is adoption. And it will succeed long term. Smart contracts are being developed on top of Caspa in layer 2 form to open up the base chain and keep it free for making final transactions. And all transactions on the layer 2s, Casplex, Egra Labs is going to launch very soon, and I'm sure there will be more. Sparkle, I think, is one that's going to come in the future as well. Okay? Everything that happens on those layer 2s gets transacted and finalized back on the base layer of Caspa. So what that does is the transaction fees go to the miners, keep the miners happy. Now, you might be saying, well, how is Caspa going to get adoption? And I think naturally the adoption is going to come because of the technology that we are facing right in front of us. They are basically opening what you can consider an app store or multiple app stores on the best technology that's ever come about in the crypto space. And as soon as people start to figure out what they can do at the speed of light for fairly cheap, fraction of a cent, I think developers and users are going to move over to Caspa. Now, the most exciting part about this is for those of you who haven't heard of the KII, which is the Caspa Industrial Initiative. It is a company that has been looking for a layer 1 blockchain, block DAG in this case, to run payments through and to transact on for 10 years now. They've looked at Ethereum, they've looked at Bitcoin, they've looked at other blockchains. It wasn't until they started to look into Caspa when it was born in late 2021 that they said, this is what we've been looking for 10 years now. This is the chain that we want to use and we want to transact on. Now, this company transacts on a regular basis, daily basis, with the 50 biggest energy companies in the world. The KII is creating, behind the scenes, their own Layer 2 blockchain so that they can transact with their banks, with other energy companies, with their whole entire network that is already built. They're not going out and finding people to transact with. This network is already built, and it's been built for years and years and years, so that all of their payments, without even these companies even knowing, are going to be transacted on the Caspa block DAG behind the scenes. They've also been creating their own stable coin, the Gigawatt coin. That is the coin that they're going to transact back and forth behind the scenes. We're not even going to see any of that, but guess what it's going to do? It's going to increase the volume in the transaction count on Caspa drastically. And he, in his own words, Paul Van Son, the front man, I believe, or one of the front men for Caspa Industrial Initiative, has said in his own words, do not worry about the fee structure of Caspa. We alone are going to pretty much take care of it and keep Caspa alive just between us and our energy companies, transacting with ourselves, between energy companies and the banks that they transact with on a daily basis. So that, to me, is the most exciting part about this whole scenario. And of course, we're taking him for his word, right, at this point, because none of that is actually live yet. But it's in the works, and it's going to go live basically by the end of this year or early next year, what they're saying. If the fee structure of the KII and the amount that they transact on Caspa base layer is enough to keep the miners profitable on its own, that is just one piece of what's being built on Caspa. There is a hell of a lot more. You're going to have DeFi, you're going to have meme coins, you're going to have all of the other stuff that other blockchains have. But you're going to have energy companies and big banks transacting behind the scenes, creating enough transaction fees to keep the miners happy, in his words, on their own, which is absolutely amazing if that actually comes to fruition, and that is actually true. Okay? And you got to remember that Caspa is a much lower market cap, so it's going to be able to increase in price a lot faster than Bitcoin can at this point, just because of the weight of a massive market cap. And I know that they have institutions and nation states and all that kind of stuff in Bitcoin now, but I don't know that even they understand the critical scenario that's ahead of us when it comes to Bitcoin. I think they just buy it because they buy it. They don't understand the underlying technology and the underlying workings of any of this. They buy it because their friends are buying it, and because it's the cool thing to do, and because people have made a lot of money on it. But what if 10 years from now, that's not the case anymore? I would rather put my eggs in a basket of a technology far superior with the same ground root principles that has a plan already for the fee structure issue that might arise in the future. They have a plan already. They're already working on it. Caspa is, and it's scalable so they can make this work. The fees are cheap so they can make this work. And to me, when you're investing in something that you're putting a lot of your wealth and life savings into, you need to look out into the future and you need to ask yourself these questions. I'm not in any way saying you should sell every single Bitcoin that you own or portion of a Bitcoin that you own. What I'm saying is you need to do yourself a favor and think about the scenarios that lie ahead in the future. And you need to make the best decisions for yourself. Now, there is a chance that Caspa doesn't make it either. And so I'm looking into the future and I am taking what I would consider to be, this is my own personal opinion, but I consider it to be almost a safer risk than Bitcoin because of everything that I just mentioned. And you can disagree with me, but I think that when it boils down to the people who disagree, ask yourself this question. Do you actually understand what Bitcoin really is, how it functions, and its technology? Because if you did, you would be asking yourself these same questions looking out into the future. Okay? My hope is that the devs will find a way to fix this problem that Bitcoin's going to run into. But I don't know that it is solvable unless you move off of the base chain onto a layer 2 where your transactions are no longer paying out the miners to keep the security of the network at its peak. And so I see a scenario, potentially, where when we get closer to this issue coming to light, coming to the surface, and the people who understand the scenario are going to start selling their bags, the miners are going to stop mining. And I wonder if there's a chance that that creates a sell-off like we've never seen before in Bitcoin. It's just something to think about, is all I'm saying. And you have a technology out here in Caspa that can literally step in and fill that bill. What do you think if, let's play out the scenario that this does become a crisis 10 years from now with Bitcoin, people start selling their bags, what do you think they're going to turn to? What do you think they're going to turn to? Are they going to turn to Solana, proof of stake, a company, very centralized? Are they going to turn to Ethereum, proof of stake, super centralized? Anybody who is in crypto for the principles of why crypto was invented in the first place, started in the first place, created in the first place, are going to try and find the next best thing that holds those principles dear. And those principles are only held, in my opinion, in Caspa. Big YouTubers are starting to talk about Caspa. It will, in my opinion, gain adoption. And it is able to, as long as it does gain adoption, it will survive. It will have the measures in place to overcome the fee structure issue that it and Bitcoin are both going to face. Bitcoin, I don't think, has the ability to overcome it. And I just want to bring that to people's attention, that there's a possibility that that happens in the future, and you need to position yourself in a scenario ahead of the curve where you can know that you're in a safety zone if that ever happened. And I think Caspa is that answer. And I think as the years go by, more and more people are going to realize that Caspa is that answer. So, my message to you guys after all of that is just take some time. If you don't know how the inner workings of Bitcoin and Caspa work, do some research. Try and understand the fee structure issue that could arise for both projects in the coming future, in the coming years, and position yourself in the asset that you think has a better chance of succeeding long term. I might sound crazy saying this right now, but the asset I choose is Caspa. And on that note, guys, continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Okay, hold up, before you go. You might be wondering where KDK stores his Caspa, and the answer is Tangem. The reason why I use Tangem Wallet is for the ease of use, the robust security, the trust and reliability, and the affordability. It supports just about every single crypto in the space, and I sleep well at night knowing that my crypto is safe, and you will too. Get yourself a Tangem wallet today. Use code CATDADDY at checkout for 10% off of your purchase. Link in the description below. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next video.